Hi, welcome to Bouldersaurus. Slab climbing is all about good technique, solid footwork, and body position. And in this video, I'm going to pay special attention to how my decisions and footwork help me succeed on this set. I hope you enjoy. Many people think climbing is a sport all about fingers and the upper body. Images of climbers holding on by their fingertips are common. Big dynamic moves where climbers' feet are swinging through the air are highlighted. These look cool, but hide the driving force of a climber, which is their feet. Footwork is often the most challenging aspects for new climbers and experienced climbers alike, and is often the primary difference between a novice and experienced climber. You just saw my upper half, but here's my lower half through the same moves. You'll notice a few things. Footholds are small. I'm turning my feet in many different directions, and on this move in particular, you can see just how much pressure I'm putting on my toes. As you're watching the climbs in this episode, pay attention to what my feet are doing as they guide me through these climbs. I saw a lot of climbers struggle with this crimpy climb, not because of the small holds, but because of faulty footwork. These foot chips, while small, have an implied direction on them where they are best used, and I am making sure I am stepping on the best part of them. The route setters do this on purpose to subtly guide the climber as to which foot to use on a particular hold. To give an example of this, most climbers messed up their feet here. They stepped with their right foot because it felt comfortable, but the direction of the hold calls for a left foot. I opted for this tricky step-through move, which was less comfortable, but it put me in a much better position for the final hold than if I used my right foot. This next climb also gave climbers in the gym trouble, because they were so focused on what their hands were doing, they forgot about their feet. The crux of this climb was in the intricacies of the footwork. The climb starts with some powerful shoulder moves to establish on this volume. A quick shuffling of the feet, followed by a strong pull up to this crimp. This is where the tricky footwork starts. Your body is in an awkward position with no good hand options. You can see I work my feet upward by making use of all the footholds available to me. Standing on a volume like this is scary since it's very easy to slip, but despite that I make sure to press hard with my toes to maintain friction. From here, the rest of the climb is a sketchy shuffle on tiny foot chips to the finish hold. I am sure to be mindful of how I step on these holds to make sure I maintain stability in the rest of my body. In the previous climbs, for the most part, I had small foot chips to stand on. However, sometimes you will just have to use the friction of the wall. This is called smearing. Smearing is difficult because it is very easy to slip when you have no foothold, and the positioning of your feet is less straightforward. This climb starts with this cool cross-handed move through these crimps, before switching my feet and then reaching up to these holds on the side of the volume. But you run out of feet here, so you see how I wedge my feet between these two volumes. This move was absolutely necessary to transition out to the right. The crux is hard to see here, but just know I'm moving through two tenuous crimps before getting to the much nicer finish hold. This problem really made me think about my footwork, and it was a lot of fun. Now on to something completely different. Depending on the angle of the wall, your footwork will change, and sometimes you have to do something completely ridiculous. This climb had a completely flat start hold, just a foot above the ground, so enjoy my acting here a moment. As you're about to see, the start of this climb required a move called a bat hang, where you need to hook both of your toes around a hold and use them to hold yourself off the ground. The use of this move is a bit contrived in this problem, but in general, having to enter a climb feet first does have its occasional application outdoors. Aside from this start, this is an example of a boulder where footwork isn't as important. The feet are big, the handholds are easy to grab. This climb is much more about big, flashy movements. The end of this climb is no joke. Just like the start, it has a completely flat hold, and I need to do a move called a knee bar, where I wedge my leg into this hold, so I can let go and grab onto this completely flat finish hold. These last 3 climbs focus a bit less on footwork, so I won't draw as much attention to it. In this climb, however, I broke the beta, which means I climbed it in an unintended way. Let's see if you can spot where I did something unintended. Before you say the unintended part was falling off, the beta break is right here. I'm actually grabbing a foothold with my left hand. It's a very tiny one and it's not easy to hold, but I can hold it much better than I can the slopey holds on this climb. I often try not to do this as I like to finish a climb as intended, but I stuck to this beta on this climb because the slopers were just awful. They were so bad. This climb had far more attempts than you're seeing here, probably about 20 in total, but here's the end result of a lot of failure. This climb embodies everything I struggle with in climbing: slopey holds, powerful moves, and compression. But I was glad I was able to figure out a way to get through it on my own. It's hard to communicate how difficult this climb was, but just understand that all of those holds are slippery and there's nothing to grab on them. Except the last one. The last one's good. As I am recording this the next day, I can feel this climb so much in my shoulders and in my chest from all of that squeezing, but I was glad to get it done. When my dad, who's my climbing partner and cameraman, saw this climb, he said, "That looks like something you'd like." And it's true. The smaller the holds, the happier I am. One aspect about footwork that I alluded to before is that it can be scary, especially when you don't have much to step on, and the feet on this climb are basically non-existent. It's terrifying at first, but I get a lot of joy in feeling like I'm standing on nothing. The end of this climb has a move called a stem, where you span your body across an inside corner. And once again, the finish hold on this is pretty much non-existent, so you have to hold on with your feet alone. If you remember that slippery V8 a few climbs ago, this is like the easier version of it. It has similar holds, but is much more forgiving. I really like the Tri-Force style of volumes on this set, as it created some really cool angles to climb through. As I wrap up this video, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to watch me climb. I love comments, so if you saw something you liked, let me know. I will get very excited. If you have any ideas or things you'd like to see in future videos, let me know as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.